Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to National Professional Sports Show. Here I am sitting in for Mac tonight. I'm your host, Sonia, joined by Bo Crouch of TGI Sports, Coast to Coast Sports. Bo, Mike Tipton, the tipping point to my right, and B. Strilla of One Ass, Cheek, and Three Toes. Gentlemen, how are you all tonight?
What up? Oh.
What up, though, indeed? What up, though, indeed? It took me a second because for some reason it looks like somebody's show is going over on the network with Northeast Professional Sports, so it keeps disconnecting me. So I'm trying to wait and reconnect that someone's, going over. So, we tell everybody stick to your time slot. We want to make sure this definitely runs on the network with Northeast Professional Sports. This is a great time for me to tell you guys. Welcome everybody in and to tell you guys to don't forget to find and rate us on Roku, National Streaming Sports. Looks like we're up and running there. So thank you for whoever wrapped up that show. Y'all, it's all fun and it's so easy to go over your time allotment because everybody's having such an amazing time. So, gentlemen, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Doing good.
Great. Shout out to Mac. Rest up. We miss you. We hope to see you soon. And Miss Linda over there, the great production team and creators of this wonderful platform. Bo, I know you are on for just a little bit. We see you on your way to your destination. Tell us about where you're heading tonight.
Yeah, so I'm headed to basically a coaches show / press conference for the arena football team here in Washington Tech. And so going to be chatting with the head coach, J.R. Wells, and the co-owner, Miguel Morga. So that's where I'm headed. That press conference starts here in about 20 minutes. I was hoping to already be there, but Seattle traffic is Seattle traffic.
Yeah, and Robert says that. He literally says, "What's up, Bo? Where you driving? Watch out for Seattle drivers. They're everywhere." And hello to TC915. That's Tip's friend. How does he pronounce his last name? Castaneda?
Tommy Carranza.
Carranza. I got the wrong vowels and everything.
TC915.
TC915. And welcome everybody, one and all, on all the platforms. Y'all, so we got a lot of news to talk about in a very condensed time. I am pleased to announce that Tip possibly, but B. Strilla for sure will be joining me at 9:00 to pick up whatever we don't cover tonight at this segment. Because it's so much March Madness marching on. You guys see I'm representing the new soon-to-be national champs again, Duke Blue Devils. The last time they were there was 2019, but I'm repping us hard. and we can't wait to usher in a new championship era. But unfortunately, let's segment back to the women's basketball. Juju Watkins unfortunately went down with an ACL tear, and she is out for the remainder of the season. Just getting started against Mississippi State. Of course, they still go on to win Southern California. Her team goes on to win. I was really looking forward to her versus Dawn Staley of South Carolina. Well, let's welcome in our one and only, speaking of NCAA, Keith Engel. Keith, good evening. How are you?
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello, Keith. Great to have you. So, guys, were you all watching live when this injury happened with Juju? Nobody was watching.
I can't say that I was. I just got it on the news ticker. That's all.
Yes, and I get you. And Bo, your mom says looking forward to your coverage of the meeting. Hello, Ms. Bo, Feather Freebird. I remember her from before. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, but Juju is one of these people that carry the team. She's only 19 years old. Just passed Caitlin Clark for #1 woman scorer in college history. So she's got her whole life ahead of her. We wish her the best. Hopefully that youth being on her side, she makes a speedy recovery and she can, bounce back. However, she may miss part of next season as well, because I'm understanding an ACL tear can be 9 to 12 months of a recovery period.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to see her go down, and of course, the way her knee kind of spun inside, you knew that it was probably an ACL or something like that. And it's a bigger hit to women's basketball than anything. She was kind of that next star that took over the baton from Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So, she was getting a lot of, followers, a lot of endorsement deals. Not to say that any of that's going away, but the women's side has better storylines just because the men's side tends to be a lot of one and done and transfer portal, and you actually get to follow the women's side through their career a little bit better than you do on the men's side. So it kind of is a bigger blow than just her injury to herself and her team, just to the women's collegiate basketball.
Yeah, and definitely that. And I mean, I'm sure you gentlemen all concur with that, because as of a couple of years ago, Keith, we saw an entire movement for women's basketball. I mean, we all sat here and watched it literally take off. We saw it a little bit when Aaliyah Boston was still in college, and then she went over to the leagues. And then the whole Caitlin Clark era came about, Angel Reese, and all that crew of ladies. And we just saw it really just propel. We saw stadiums fill up. We saw ticket sales being advertised. And so now it literally, like Bo said, it holds a real interest to everybody.
Yeah, I had to do a little mea culpa myself, because I poo-pooed the whole idea that women's sports was chasing the men the way they were, and then they went and outdraw the final, outdrew the men, or viewers wise outdrew the men. I would argue a little bit that interest has probably waned just a tad this year with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and a lot of other storylines kind of going away. But the sport still seems to be strong, at least at the collegiate level, if not at the pro level.
Yeah, and that's definitely important. What do you think, Tip?
And that's what I was going to say. I think the good thing is that in order to declare for the WNBA draft, you have to be 22 years old, right? So even though she's 19, there's no rush for USC to bring her back. Like you can let her recover fully. You can let her do what she needs to do to make sure that whenever she does come back, she's 100% fully healthy, right? I agree with Keith in it does seem like there's been a loss of storyline, but it's because you don't have the story of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese out there, right? So now maybe what this does is it allows college basketball to women's college basketball to naturally come up with a new storyline, as now we're waiting for Juju Watkins to come back and join USC. Like, what are they going to be like? Because it'll be terrible to watch them as a number 1 seed get upset knowing that her injury is more than likely going to be the reason why.
You agree with that, Strilla?
Yep, most definitely. It's going to be a rough ride for USC now, but I mean, there's good things to come for the school too, because once she gets better, she should be back up on top. It's good to be young. I mean, it's never good to have that kind of an injury, but to be young and have that injury, it gives you a lot more space. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see her come back. It's unfortunate that she's out though.
And it's not like, in the 1980s where you rupture your ACL or whatever and you're done for the remainder of your life. Like, we've seen people come back from this injury sooner. So who's to say that maybe Juju Watkins isn't one of these, athletic freaks who just comes back within like 6 to 8 months, and then she can play out the end part of the college basketball season next year.
Right. You think the same, right, Bo? She's probably going to come back sooner than later since she's so young and just so talented and such a phenom.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that first part. She's so young that, I mean, think about when you did dumb stuff and hurt yourself as a kid. You rebounded really well. You do that today, maybe less so. But she's 19. I think she's going to rebound fine. We'll have to see. Hopefully there's no setbacks or anything like that. But I fully imagine that she's going to be at least half of the season.
Yeah, she'll be 20 in July, so she has a little bit of time left in her teens here.
As a disclaimer, I just want to say every stupid thing I did as a kid, I feel now at 40. So I feel every single bit of it.
Yeah, it's like a delay. It's like a delayed gratification. It's like you've invested in these, and then sometimes you look down at your legs, and you're like, "Look at these scars. These are permanent."
It's the new injuries that are frustrating because you're just like, "Oh, I stubbed my toe, and it's just going to hurt till I die now."
Yes, it's pre-broken. It's a pre-broken toe.
I think with me it was more along the lines of like I woke up the other day and had a back spasm. I was like, I was asleep. Where the hell did this come from?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, the thing is, like, when you're like, all I did was moved a couple of trash bags. Why is my back hurting me? My lower back feeling like it's gonna really go out. We got some comments in here, guys. Robert Wardell, always thank you for joining us. Says bummer, no Mac today to bust chops on the Russ Wilson sign. And listen, we're gonna talk about that, Robert. Y'all are ahead of the game. I know that's supposed to be the big news. Jack got on me earlier about not bringing in the show with that, but it's not like he signed with the Panthers. If it was the Panthers, y'all know I would have opened the show with that, but he didn't. He's like, all right. And Chris Babcock, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. There's parity in women's sports that you don't see in men's sports. The competition is closer and games across the board tighter than men's sports.
I have to disagree with that comment 100%. You see, the men have this is a year that's out of the ordinary with no mid-majors making it to the Sweet 16. The top teams always make it to the Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight in women, always. And you see all these games are like 40 and 50 and 30 points in these first couple of rounds of this tournament. I'm not sure I'm buying that one. Sorry.
I was about to say the same thing. Like in women's college basketball, it's clearly the haves and the have-nots. And there's so much less with the haves than there is with the have-nots, right? Like, if you're a number 1 seed, you're all but guaranteed to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I thought the same. Listen, don't try to cut women any breaks. They are here and they are earning their spot just like everybody else is, to the best of their ability. And so that's how we kind of have to roll with that. Shockingly, UConn ladies, let's see what the ladies, Keith. Yeah. The UConn ladies are still in it, but the UConn Husky men have been eliminated from March Madness contentions by none other than Arizona. I mean, I was floored about that. I think that messed my bracket up as well, Keith.
As great as the UConn men's have been in the last 30 plus years, the women have probably been even better and more consistent under Gino Auriemma. And that's saying a lot because, Connecticut basketball has been really good for a long time under Jim Calhoun and now Danny Hurley. And even one under, I'm trying to think of the guy who, Oliver, the former player, they won a national championship, one and done there. But Gino's just been incredibly consistent over his career. And to me, I think this team is going to be one of the favorites to win this tournament for sure. And they're number 1 seed, I believe, right?
As someone who has their bracket still in the 89.3%,
Oh, here we go.
and
Here we
didn't
go,
watch
Trilla.
any college basketball at all
Here
this
we
year
go.
outside of Texas Tech, I will say this. The
Jeez.
tournament is so much more fun whenever you bring more people to the dance, right? Like whenever you can have the Cinderella storylines and all that stuff. But when the Sweet 16 comes, I don't want the mid majors. I want the blue bloods, right? Like I want to see the teams that I know are good performing the best, because Cinderella, your time is up by the time the Sweet 16 comes. We saw this a couple of years ago whenever you had 4 basically Cinderella teams in the Final Four and the ratings absolutely tanked. No one wants to see those mid majors or anyone else. Maybe you make it to the Elite 8. Maybe that's our line of demarcation, but I don't want to see him pass the Sweet 16. So I'm happy with what I've got right now in the Sweet 16.
Well, this is your year, because this is the first time since, gosh, I want to say 50 years since a mid-major hasn't made it to the Sweet 16 in college basketball.
89.3 percentile.
Okay, we heard
Okay.
it. When you first said
Like,
it. Like,
I came in late.
Okay.
Got out of the way before I came in.
Oh my God. I have to hear this crap every day. So for those that do not know, our audience members, there's 2 group chats. Keith, be glad you're not in the Friday Night with the Fellas group chat, because this is where we hear all this crap all the time. Bo, be glad you're not in that too. I got 2 separate group chats, but every couple of hours we got to worry about some raggedy screenshot popping up with some name on it. And I already have my little sticker, that the little bit emoji that says whatever. I already have her ready to go. As soon as he sends it, I've already got it pre-drafted to respond. I mean, God.
The T in greatness stands for tip.
Oh,
Listen, if you had my women's bracket and my men's bracket together, I'm almost that high.
hold on, guys. My stomach.
I was
Right on,
surprised I
guys.
wasn't the one that got kicked out.
I got to jump out. Have a great rest of your show.
Bo, enjoy
Yes, sir.
the show. Can't wait to see the coverage later on TikTok or wherever you're going to be. We'll be hopping off at 7 to join you on that platform. Be safe and enjoy. Bo Crouch, everybody.
Yeah, Bo.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, that was Bo. You know, he's always such a gentleman to come on and join us. And now it's myself and the 3 gentlemen. All right, so just a small plug. Tomorrow's opening day for Major League Baseball. You know, get ready for your Atlanta Braves, Braves country, you know, Braves worldwide, to make a nice solid run this time. We're giving this a small segment for all of you guys who are waiting on the NFL news. It's coming. We are building up to that because that's going to be the crux of the conversation of our show. So don't worry, all you commenters, just hold on to what you got. Is anybody excited about opening day tomorrow?
Absolutely. Always excited for opening day, especially when we open in the United States of America, not Japan, where who remembers we opened up there, for crying out loud. Company going.
See, Keith stole all my thunder. I was going to say opening day was last week whenever you had the Dodgers and the Cubs.
Who remembers? Who even knows?
I didn't know that.
MLB is being like the NFL.
Right.
The expansion is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Listen, Rob Manfred talked about expanding into the Far East, into Japan. How is that ever going to work? You're going to 12-hour, what is it, a 12-hour? I don't even know how long it is. 12-hour flight.
It's more than that, yeah.
More than that.
So you get 3 teams over there. You fly over. You're there for 2 weeks, basically. You just do your whole tour through there, and I think you're good. You're good. Or you get 5 teams over there, and you get 2 in like South Korea. Oh man, now here we're expanding baseball, guys. Let's go. You get 5 teams in like 3 in Japan, 2 in Korea. You get a whole division over there now. It's going to be so much more fun. Come on.
So all the players will come here and play on U.S. teams, and then they can go back and visit their homeland with
exactly.
Yeah, and
Me?
Shohei can run more gambling rings undercover. That's what that's about.
Allegedly, we all need a friend like Ipe. We all need a friend like Ipe.
Yes, we do.
Am I the only person left who just thinks he's the stupidest human being on the face of the earth and not running some gambling ring? He's just stupid. That's all.
Keith. I think he knew, and I think he just used his language barrier to his advantage.
I think the real story here is people who don't think this interpreter bet on baseball is crazy, Because if you're that degenerate a gambler and that you're that far in a hole, the place you can get the most information is right under your nose. You're going to tell me he never bet on baseball? I'd be shocked.
Can we give him a little love though for the fact that he won $40 million but somehow lost $80 million? Like it takes a level of skill to
the
be
math is not
that.
right. All right, guys. So yeah, opening day and all the theatrics that come along with it. We'll be, of course, implementing that into part of our show as well. And so, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. J-Train is backstage.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you that.
For a minute. I'm so sorry. I just saw the message with everybody on J-Train. Welcome back.
What's going on, J-Train?
All right, there's an open bar in the green room. I found out when I got here late today. There's an open bar there. So
when you pull up when you pull up the screen in a certain way, you can't see who's backstage unless you got it minimized. So I'm so sorry. I'm glad it was only a minute. But guys, welcome J-Train back.
Hello, James.
Brother, he's been out in a season of sickness, as the pastor says, but he is back with us, and we've missed you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the well wishes. I'm doing a lot better.
And how's your wife?
She's still a little sick, so I've been taking care of her, but we're both trying to get better. I'm back. I've been back at work, and I think the main thing is just having a little bit of residual cough, and my voice, you can hear it. It sounds like I got something going on, but I feel really good. I feel a lot better. Thank you all.
We're so happy. I hope you took the regimen that I sent you for both of you guys, because I've had enough times that you've been so gracious to cover my show. So it was absolutely my pleasure to be able to do at least a small amount of that, and I hope that you both continue to get to 100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Robert says, "Go Mariners." TC 915 is talking about the Cowboys talk is coming, and Robert says, "I'm going to opening day. We play Oakland, might get the win." Okay. Is he a Seattle fan too, I think?
He is, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sir. I don't know what to even say about that, but God bless. All right, guys. So, J-Train, you're right in time. I am literally I was telling Keith, because Keith is not in that group chat, but everyone else is. We are really about to propel this into the whole NFL talk. And I mean, it's a whole debate out there. Let's start it out. Russell Wilson gets a 1-year contract for $21 million for the New York Giants.
2 years.
Up to. It'll be 10.5 guaranteed, but it's up to $21 million.
Yeah, 2 years. Sorry. So 21 total. But he's there for a year after they've taken Mr. Crablegs, Jameis Winston. And almost everybody on this platform has had Jameis as a quarterback except me, Keith, Bistrilla, and Tip. So it's not really almost everybody. It's just
Jameis. Nobody's had him as a quarterback.
I was just kidding. But it was really just J-Train. But, we were kind of shocked that they got Jameis. And actually, J-Train, I'll let you start, because it's been far in the tooth since we've heard your opinion publicly here. Congratulations to Russell, first of all, that he got a job. But now you're 4 weeks away from the draft. And after you express your comment, I'll let Keith go second, and then Tip, and then Strilla and myself, because Strilla and myself are probably the only ones here. What are your thoughts first that Russell went to the Giants? Were you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I knew Russ was going to get a job somewhere, but I was slightly surprised when they took Jameis Winston and then took him secondarily. Mm-hmm. This just looks like they have something in their bag. I think there's going to be some competition. I think to me, this is how it's going to go down. It's going to be Jameis Winston as the second or third string quarterback. Jameis is good in the locker room, as he's shown when he was in Cleveland. He's good in the locker room in New Orleans. He obviously learned a lot of lessons in Tampa Bay. I think at this juncture of Jameis's career, he's a guy that can get into a game when needed, called upon, and give you a good 500, 400 yards and maybe 4 TDs and 3 interceptions. It's just what it is. He's a 30 for 30. He's known for the 30 for 30 guy, and it actually shows itself. It showed itself in Cleveland. It showed itself in a little bit of New Orleans. I just think that Russell Wilson will be the bridge quarterback. He'll be the starter, and they're going to draft, as we mentioned in our communication. I believe they're still going to draft Shedeur Sanders if he doesn't fall past Cleveland, or if there's, I don't want to spill the beans, that there might be a little bit of rumors that Dallas might be trying to take that number 2 spot, Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. No, that's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to spill the beans. We want to spill the beans before everybody else gets it out there. I mean, that would make sense if Dallas would be moving up, because trade talks are always. But Keith, respectfully, we definitely hear Jay Train's trajectory. But I was shocked about Jameis being taken. I feel like he was just a placeholder. Like, why even bring him in? And is Shedeur really still a formidable candidate to be drafted by the Giants?
I don't think so. I think the Giants will trade back now and take one of the more value-oriented quarterbacks, right? Back in the first round, early in the second round, I think they'll take. Maybe Jackson Dart will be that guy for the Giants. I don't think they take or try to move up for Ward anymore. I don't think they take Shedeur at 3. I could be wrong, obviously. I don't understand why you're saying Winston and Wilson, myself, and wrap up, $18 million of salary cap that you don't need to.
Right.
Because only one of them is going to play. And I don't see how this is going to really help Dabo or Shine save their jobs. They have to win this year.
And they still got DeVito on the roster. So
Keith, typically I would agree with you. I like your thought process. I like your statement, what you're saying, but you got to look at the what if. I mean, Atlanta, what if Michael Penix wasn't drafted? What would they do with Kirk Cousins and how he played? I mean, it happened. There's a breaking case emergency. It happened, and then they needed him, and they almost got themselves into the playoffs with Michael Penix Jr.
Michael Penix is better than either one of these guys, though, too.
Right. I would say that, but he was still improving. We still don't know. And my point in bringing that up is saying, particularly Jameis Winston being a second string guy. I mean, Russell Wilson. What if it happens? Both these guys get hurt. We saw Russell Wilson wasn't all that great, and then of course you see what happened with Jameis Winston. Now, of course, I'm with you. I wouldn't have paid both of them because but they need a viable backup. Or they're probably going to get rid of DeVito, and I think they still are in the lines or the range to draft.
So would you say that Atlanta has set the standard for a new type of way of drafting? Because last year it was unprecedented that would happen, that you would pay a quarterback $1 gazillion, and in the first round, you take a rookie quarterback in the first round in a high draft, and you call your $1 billion quarterback and say, oh, by the way, we're taking another quarterback. Does that set the trajectory for other teams going forward? Like, let's go ahead and just still draft high, even though we've paid $1 million to these quarterbacks.
I'd push back and go back even further to Denver. They got rid of a quarterback, the same guy we're talking about, Russell Wilson, and $39 million of salary cap. Yeah, they didn't care. They didn't care. Yeah. So I think that's just where teams are now. They're just like, okay, we can just eat the money and get what we want to get when we want to get them. I mean,
there's one big difference between all those situations and the Giants is their quarterback and their coach and their GM need to win this year. They're out.
Yeah.
You have to win. You can't use the third pick in a draft and draft for the future. There is no future for them if they win now. So you've cashed your lot with 2 veteran quarterbacks. You've got to put some pieces around them, whichever one it is, to make them successful now, or you're not going to be around for the future. I don't think you can take that. I don't think you can.
So let's just say they stay. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut anybody off. I just want to say one thing. Let's say they stay there at number 3. Who do you project they select if they don't trade back?
If they don't trade, I think they'll trade back. Yes, but if they stay there, I might take McMillan at 3 if they stay at 3. I might. Or they go offensive line. They need offensive line help too to protect either one of those quarterbacks because they're going to get killed. But you can, again, it's not a deep draft for offensive linemen. There's a couple of tackles, I think, at the top of it, but Listen, I would take McMillan at 3. I think if I were them, and give him some more weapons, give them some more weapons and a better chance to win now. Are they going to win 12, 13 games? No, doesn't matter what they do. But if they get to 8 and 9, 9 and 8, maybe they save their jobs. I don't know. Mara's a very forgiving guy, and he hasn't set the bar. He just said they need to do better. He didn't say whether it was 7 wins, 11 wins. He didn't say.
And TC 915. Any Atlantic reporters in the group chat? No, so it's from the Fridays with the fellas group chat. Robert Wardell, you got some nerve.
Atlantic reporters.
The Giants or the Kittens? Listen, we beat the Giants last year, and TC saying Dallas doesn't move up. They're stingy with their draft picks. That's why they don't sign big free agents. They don't want to lose compensatory picks, and that's going to lead me to Tip's position on this. Tip.
So I kind of agree with Keith on this. I don't think that the Giants are going to draft Shedeur Sanders. I don't think they're going to get a quarterback in this year's draft either, right? Because you look at what Washington's done. They're exponentially better than what the Giants are. You look at Philadelphia, even with the mass exodus of players, they're still better than the New York Giants are, right? This is not a playoff contending team. You can't look at them and say that they're a playoff contender. Maybe they're slightly better than the Dallas Cowboys, but that's like saying you're the tallest little person in the room, right? Like there's nothing with this team that makes me say, okay, this is what they're going to do. So what do you do if you're the Giants? I think, again, they trade out of that position, right? Like you stockpile as many draft picks as you can. If you're not going to, why not address and copy what you saw Philadelphia do? Philadelphia had a deep defensive line. You draft Abdul Carter, you build for the future that way, and you really try to build up your defensive line, create pressure on the quarterback, because as we know, there's 3 important positions on a football field. It's the quarterback, it's protecting the quarterback, and it's getting to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you can get to the quarterback with the type of players that the Giants have with Thibodeau, with Dexter Lawrence, and you add an Abdul Carter to that, now you're creating building blocks for a team in the future. You look forward to the draft next year where you have 3 quarterbacks that are currently rated better than the 2 top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Now you're building for the future the right way, at least in my opinion, in this.
Yeah, what do you think, Strilla?
Okay, so the Giants. All right, so haven't we learned anything from Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, haven't we learned? Every time teams do this, they got coaches on a hot seat. They're trying to bring in a rookie quarterback. It doesn't end well for the rookie quarterback, Justin Fields. Okay, we're still waiting to see Caleb because they got a new coach with Ben Johnson. But I mean, come on, I just think it's this utmost. And let me tell you something. I have firsthand experience knowing how stupid your franchise can be. Okay. Because the Lions used to do all that stupid stuff before too. So when I say the Giants are doing stupid, that's stupid. If you're going to get a quarterback, you're going to get 2 quarterbacks. You roll with that, and like these gentlemen just said too, get a defensive player for the future or a wide receiver at 3 if you're not going to move out of there. Do something, but you got to learn your lesson. I understand the NFL is a copycat league, but that's not something you should be copycat.
Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly. So I reserve judgment to hear all of you guys' judgment. Like I said, the chat already knew how I felt, but I will say for just the audience here, I just thought the Jameis Winston move was a dumb move. I feel like in my mind that it's greed at this point. Giants are trying to suck up all the quarterbacks that they can. And for what purpose? They're not going to win this season. Let's be clear. They have to win or DeBall and his whole crew is out of there. Dayball, whatever his name is. And they're still not going to win. They're not going to make an overnight success story. It's not going to be a miraculous turnaround because you bring Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and possibly Shedeur Sanders there. All you have done is loaded up your stable of quarterbacks. You still don't have a Saquon Barkley there anymore. You have not really utilized Brian Burns to the best of his ability after getting him from the Panthers. You don't have a solid O-line. And so stacking up and paying money is the equivalent of going and buying a new car and don't have a dime for gas to drive it. That's what's going on in New York. All right? Moving
So
along.
I'll ask this question though. Would it be bad for the Giants if they went out and they got like Travis Hunter? Because we haven't mentioned him one bit.
We
in
were
this
getting there.
entire
We
thing.
were
He
getting
should
there.
get taken for sure.
Yeah.
If he
I
got,
thought
if he
I
went
was that
there,
when I asked the question of Keith, I thought he might say Travis Hunter, but
Well, again, I'm assuming Travis Hunter will be off the board. In all fairness, if Travis Hunter's there, Giants have to take him. If he's there at 4,
Best player ever.
And you see the reason why I bring that up is because now you kind of replace that Odell Beckham, right? Like you have to have a guy that brings star power. If your team's going to be bad, at least they can be spoken about because this dude's out there doing, he's a three-way player basically. He's on special teams, he's on defense, he's on offense, he's doing all kinds of stuff. At least now you're giving your fan base a little bit of hope. If I'm the Giants and I'm looking at Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston as the guys that I just signed right now after we could have had Aaron Rodgers, and you all know I'm not big on Aaron Rodgers, but come on, man. Like it just feels like you have to stick with that number 3 and you have to make a splash at that position.
Yeah.
you have to make a splash. And Deion Sanders, of course, has continued to insert himself in this draft process by being recorded and documented as saying that should Shador or Travis Hunter be drafted by the wrong team, he will have a private involvement with the teams that draft them.
Work for the Mannings, but
I was about to say I'm not surprised. Yeah.
But he also told a specific team don't pick him. It was much simpler, right?
Yes.
Deion's not even saying which teams you better not pick him, right? So,
but Jack was talking about this morning the fact that when Shador interviewed with the Browns, he was cordial, but he wasn't super enthusiastic. Wasn't it was just the energy that was given off wasn't like this is where I really want to be. And let's be clear, you may not see a player just say this is really where I want to be a lot of times, but they at least have a presence about just gratitude for being in the process. And even though, Shador seemingly had that cordialness about him, he didn't have the same type of zeal or zest, I should say, when he, spoke with other teams. And I'm like, listen, believe it or not, the Browns are at the top of the draft position. They will be drafting a quarterback because they will not be carrying on with Deshaun, and they're not 1,000% sold on Pickett. Like, they're not. They are in a situation that they're trying to come up from the bottom as well. Correct, guys?
Can we put some respect on that man's name? Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett.
If I'm Shador Sanders, I don't care who it is. If I'm going to visit Cleveland, and see everything that they've done with their quarterbacks and their success or lack thereof throughout their tenure, would I be ecstatic about going to sit there and probably not. Right. Probably not. I just couldn't. No. I'm sorry. I couldn't even fake it.
Then don't go. I mean, that's the other thing. Don't go.
I mean, I think you have to though. You kind of have to.
Really have to go?
You don't have to.
I agree with J-Train.
It's not a good look if you don't.
But I agree with J-Train that if you don't go, at least you're kind of doing the Eli Manning thing, right? Like just don't show up, say, look, I don't want to be a part of this team. And the 26 starting quarterbacks they've had since they came back to be a franchise. Nobody like that's where quarterbacks go to die. Look how they fumbled Baker Mayfield, who actually went toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes just a couple of years ago, and they fumbled that.
Strilla, I can tell you got something to say on that.
Not, I mean, Cleveland's just in bad shape as the Giants are. So, and to say, well, we grabbed Kenny Pickett, so we're not sure about him. Then why are you paying him?
Right?
Why you trade for him? I'm not understanding the whole situation.
I agree with you.
But he played one game. He didn't play in a Super Bowl. Right. He played one game, but he didn't play.
Strilla, I agree with you about Cleveland and Giants being in the same situation. The only difference is location. New York. If you're in New York, that's prime real estate to be in a bad situation. I do not want to be Midwest in Cleveland, Ohio, in a bad situation, and there's nothing to do. It's not a good place to be. I'm sorry.
So I'll say this, right?
And hello, Jeffrey. Good evening to you both.
we got to see it firsthand, right? Like you had a star in Odell Beckham Jr. go to Cleveland and become nothing. Why would you want to follow those footsteps?
Meanwhile, you guys brought up a valid point. I'm gonna let y'all wrap this one up. Go ahead, Keith. I see you waving your pen.
I was just going to say, if Sanders doesn't get picked by the Browns, he may not get picked until about 18 or 19, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. People got it twisted. His personality is preceding his professionalism. And nobody wants that drama. He's a chocolate version of Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of his career. No one wants that.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think this young man is very confident in his abilities, and he stated that. He gave proof that he was at Jackson State. Him and his father and the team helped turn it around. He went to Colorado. Colorado was garbage. And he put up significant numbers. There's nothing wrong with stating that you are good at what you do. It's nothing wrong with saying that.
But what can he do without his daddy? Let's see that.
It doesn't matter. His dad's not on the field. His dad's not on the field. His dad played football. He didn't play football for Colorado. He didn't play for Jackson State. He coached them. Right. You still got to get out there and perform. But
you're saying exactly what I'm saying.
Very good college quarterback.
He got out there and performed with a lesser desirable offensive line. I'm just saying, my man put up some of the best numbers with that offensive line. And mind you, he had Travis Hunter. But he didn't throw everything and go to Travis Hunter. He spread the ball around. He's a very sharp quarterback. He's not the strongest arm quarterback, but he can dissect you and beat you up as long as he's protected and he's got the right people around him. I don't think he's falling to 18 like Keith said. I think he's going to get picked somewhere in the top 10. He's going to get picked somewhere in the top 10. And it's just going to be interesting to see. I'd like to see that.
Let me just say this. The draft this year is not a high-quality draft. And in order for you to make money off the draft, which the NFL is always going to be doing, you have to pump up a lot of people in that draft to get them drafted. I do not see any of the quarterbacks are not they're decent quarterbacks. I'm not saying they're bad quarterbacks, but they're not them top level quarterbacks that we've had in the past in a draft. Okay. And I could be wrong. They could go off when they get in the NFL. But I just think that this draft is just overpumped. Okay. I think it's an overachieving draft. So I don't even think, to me, if I was Tennessee, I wouldn't even pick a quarterback. I'd pick somebody else for their because stick with Mayo and work with him. He just needs a quarterback coach, really. That's what he needs.
Yep.
Other than that, they got a good quarterback. It's just that they're it's like a recycled tire thing.
In Tennessee, who?
Mayo. You know Mayo.
Drake.
He's in the mayonnaise commercials.
Drake type.
Wait. I'm sorry. Who's in Tennessee?
Levis.
Oh, Levis.
Yeah.
You really think Levis is a good quarterback?
He can be a good quarterback. He's just got mechanical issues. That's all. Not like
that's hard to fix.
I mean,
that's hard to fix.
No, not really. Not his mechanical issues.
If he goes to a team does not have offensive weapons, it's going to show. Shador is going in as a supposedly top draft to one of the worst teams. When you're the worst team, you get the top draft. You're not going to see Shador Sanders you saw in Colorado. You're not going to see Shador Sanders even from Jackson State because for two reasons. His daddy ain't going to be there. And number two, he's not going to have Travis Hunter. He's not going to have Travis with him at the school he's going to. And he's not going to have the same offensive weapons that he had. And you're acclimating into the NFL.
But I'll say this, right? Like the players in the NFL, even if they're the back of the bench guys, are better than your average college football
best
prospect that you have out there. If Shador does somehow, some way wind up in New York, well, he's got Malik Neighbors there, right? The only team to me that doesn't have a real legitimate receiver would be Cleveland, and even then, you still have David Njoku that you can dump the ball off to, right? Like I think wherever he goes, he might be okay. But I think what he needs, and Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud really ruined it for rookie quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
Because we were used to rookie quarterbacks just being okay. Well, Jaden Daniels makes it to an NFC championship game. He beats the Lions. He's the darling child of the NFL right now. That's what everyone is expecting out of these two rookie quarterbacks, and I just don't think that's the bar we should have for them.
Yeah, and to be fair to Shadur Sanders, I feel the same way about Cam Ward. I'm not risking a top 10 pick on either one of these guys. It's just too big a risk. You don't if they don't hit, you set your franchise back.
We can all agree on this, though. This has got to be the worst draft we've seen in some time.
100%. Travis Hunter and Carter would be the only guys we're talking about 10 years from now. The only guys. There's
on top of that too, and the NFL doesn't do I'm going to sit the quarterback for a couple of years so he can maturate. They don't do that anymore. They just throw you right up in there.
But to me,
you and I are going to have a wager because I disagree with that. We're going to have a wager on that one. I disagree with that one.
I'll wager whatever you want because I'm not likely to be here in 10 years, so it's fine. I'm
Damn. You like that, Keith?
You're going to outlive me. I know that much.
Listen here. Okay, so as I told you guys that was going to be the crux of the conversation, and J Train definitely brought the entertainment. So
he did. I never seen James so worked up.
I know. That's why I was
man.
Did they have him on prednisone for his
bringing it tonight?
A Train would be proud of him.
There was a part of me like,
that's what it is. He done had a conversation with him before the show, and A Train probably did. Whatever you do, you make sure you represent me. We're buddies, we're bros. You go on there and you give Sonya the business because I want everybody to know the Giants are for real. That's what he'll be saying.
J Train, I just want you to know, I liked it, man. Like, this is the first time I got to see that. I need more of it. Inject that into my veins, buddy. Let's go.
Listen, I had to go to my high voice just to be heard a little bit because I'm like, well, wait a minute. We got a whole new energy over here in J Train. You would have thought it was the Saints he was arguing for, but anyway.
I was about to do the Kevin Nash from The Longest Yard. I was about to be like, I like when he's angry.
Well, okay. Speaking of angry, speaking of more drama, as we probably gonna spend another 10 minutes on this. And I know J Train won't be as hyped up on this, at least not in the pro for it, probably in the con area of it. Aaron Pansy Rodgers continues to act like he's that guy. Now you basically got the Steelers waiting like you are like somebody's wedding you or something. Like you're waiting to see if you're going to accept their proposal. You'll get back to them. Dude, get over yourself. That he is literally jeopardizing anything the Steelers has going. The Steelers went ahead and emptied out their quarterbacks. Like they don't have no star quarterback. And they're waiting on this guy. I mean, and he told them, I think they gave him till Sunday. He'll get back with them. Guys, what are your thoughts?
First off, let's put some respect on Mason Rudolph's name. I couldn't even get through that. Again. My whole mindset about this, right? Like I look at it like real life. If you've got to fight and prove to someone that you're 100% in that relationship is over.
It's
like if you've got to sit there and do this stuff with Aaron Jones and jump or Aaron Rodgers and jump through all these hoops and do all these things for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm moving on. I gotta try. I feel like he has to now. Like they have to sign him because they let Russell Wilson go to New York, and that was their only bargaining chip. But he is now the only quarterback that's out there. Is that really what you want on this team with DK Metcalf and George Pickens? Because it seems like a psychologist's dream and everyone else's nightmare.
It's a mess.
Yes, I say yes. The answer is yes. They do want him because right now they put themselves into that position, like just like you said, they gave him all the chips. Yep. He has all the leverage now. There's nobody else out there, and who else are you going to get out there to be strong arm and throw the ball to both George Pickens and to DK Metcalf? Nobody else but Rodgers. So now he knows he can go to the dark place. He can go to Egypt. He can go wherever he wants to go. Skip OTAs, skip mini camp, skip everything, and come out there to training camp and say, yes, I want to play for you all.
I'm so shocked that they did that. I'm so shocked that they lost their balls. I'm disgusted.
First of all, let's not he's the only quarterback out there kind of stuff going, nope. First of all, the narrative I hate about the situation, at least the media is putting out there, Aaron Rodgers says, well, I'm going to wait until Friday so I can choose the team that I want to be on. Dog,
choose.
This ain't got nothing to do with choosing. You can't choose nothing. You got no choice. And when you go, if somebody wants you, you get paid to go. You don't make that choice. You might want to make the choice if you want to go there to get paid, but you're not making the choice. Second of all, Pittsburgh's got a choice to get another quarterback. Call up Joe Flacco. Get him. Trade a pick for Joe Milton. Have Joe Milton there. Have Joe Flacco as the backup.
Yep.
So Keith, I don't mean to cut you off, Keith. I know you got something to say here, but my whole
you're good.
Keith got it in depth too. You could tell.
On my show, me and Tommy Cadanzo, we've been talking about this. What if Pittsburgh were to make a couple of trades and bring in a guy like Trevor Lawrence, right? Because I feel like no matter what you do in Jacksonville, you're not going to be good. Trevor Lawrence's time it's time for both to move on. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm looking at trades right now and who I can get, because the last thing I want to do is bring in Aaron Rodgers. I don't want the ayahuasca. I don't want the dark retreat. You already heard Cam Hayward say last week, I don't care about all that stuff. You want to be on this team or you don't. Mm-hmm. He's already lost the locker room, and he's not even a part of the locker room.
That part.
He did retract that statement, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I retract.
What you first say is what you first mean to me.
100%.
Absolutely.
Listen, this is the same guy that hasn't spoken to his family since 2014.
Also, I would be speaking to my family if I knew it was an option.
I was about to say, I'm kind of in the same boat with Aaron Rodgers. I'm good with that. But I know Jordan Rodgers. I produced a show with him whenever I was up in Connecticut. That's a good dude. So all the issues that are there are strictly with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Listen, as a fan of chaos, I want him to sign with the Steelers because I think this will be a copy for an entire football season. So that's where I'm going to stand on this. As far as Joe Milton, I don't know why everybody's in love with Joe Milton. Comes on the show. Mac loves Joe Milton. We'll trade you Joe Milton right now for a third-round draft pick, and we'll say no more because he has never done anything to show he can play in the NFL against first-string players. I can tell you right now. But
he is not. He is not, and the verdict is still out on that. Keith, since we have dangled with you on the Aaron Rodgers thing, which continues to be a weekly conversation, mind you, congratulations, or is it the Patriots signed Stephon Diggs? And he didn't even spend one season with the Texans after having that season-ending injury towards the end of the season. You got $69 million max deal with him.
$33 million a year for a 31-year-old wide receiver coming off an ACL injury he ought to thank his lucky stars that the Patriots were stupid enough to do this.
Yep.
You got $26 million guaranteed though.
Okay.
Oh, you got money.
Still. They do have money. But here's the thing. If he's happy and he's productive, then I'm happy to get that guy for as long as he is that. But as soon as he's not, he needs to go because he will be a cancer in this locker room with a young quarterback and what will be a young team going forward. He's not a good player to have in the locker room.
3-year deal with you guys.
He'll be happy the first year.
If he's healthy, he's going to give you 100 receptions, man.
He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. And if he's happy, I know how productive he can be. And I know what a jerk he can be when he's not happy.
Right.
And I can't have that on my team. So I'm going to take him as long as he's happy. And I hope he's recovered from the injury. They recover from these things today, as we talked about earlier.
We know that the thing that made him unhappy was not having a contract. So he's got a contract. He's going to be happy with the contract now, right? Yeah. And for me, I might be the only person saying this. I think the Patriots have won the free agency, right? Like they spent so much money. They've got a ton of pieces that they needed. They're building around Drake May, who I think is going to be a halfway decent quarterback. How do you stop the sophomore slump? You give him a guy that he can trust, that he can throw the ball to. Stephon Diggs is that guy.
We still got to protect him. We still got to protect him so he can get the ball to Diggs. That's again, we have to build.
That's why you take Will Campbell at number 4, Keith. You take Will Campbell at number 4.
Campbell will be the pick if Hunter's good. If Hunter, the only way they don't is if Travis Hunter's still there. There was a lot of talk, and I may have mentioned it here. I don't know the last week or so that they were talking about McMillan a lot. If he stayed there, I don't know that they do that now after signing Diggs, because they need a Will Campbell, or they may go with offensive lineman the first couple of picks. There's a kid from Boston College I like in the second round as well. His name is escaping me right now. to Puglia, something like that. So you look at things are looking. They did have a good free agent season, I think. Not huge names, but they got guys that fit what Vrabel wants to do on defense, specifically at the linebacker position, the cornerback position. So I think you're going to see, and Diggs is probably a good guy to bring here in the short term.
I think that's the thing, right? Like, they addressed their defense. Their defense last year, we can all say, was absolutely horrid. Now you have a defense. All you got to do is score 17, 20 points a game. You're going to get that with this offense, especially with Mac Hollins, especially with Stephon Diggs. This is going to be an exciting team. I have them contending. Like they're better than the Jets, and I think they're right now, the way they're constituted, the way they're constructed, they're better than the Dolphins. So they're going to be maybe the second place team in that division.
And the best thing to happen to Drake May, and what I think is a quarterback's most important year in the NFL, is his second year. And I'm not comparing him to Mac Jones. Mac Jones was not as good as Drake May. I'm not saying that in any way. But Mac Jones had a really decent, if not good, first year with Josh McDaniel there. And then they totally screwed him over by putting two guys there who didn't know how to work with quarterbacks, didn't know how to put an offense together. And they just destroyed Mac Jones' career. Any chance he had to grow, they screwed him in the second year. Drake May's going to get Josh McDaniel in that second year, and Mike Vrabel, who's going to be a really steadying force in that locker room altogether. And I think Drake May's going to benefit a lot from what the Patriots have done on the sideline as well as on the field.
How many times does Josh McDaniel go back to the Patriots? Like isn't this like the third or fourth time?
He's a great offensive coordinator. He's a horrible head coach. Horrible head coach.
Give some,
he's a prodigal son is what he is.
But he is, yeah.
And I want to give some stats here, and shout out to Linda. Linda checked in. She said, hello, guys, and of course me, and have a great show. Her and Mac, hello. Some numbers. J Train is absolutely correct. A healthy Stephon Diggs will get you 100 plus yards of receptions. I'm looking at his stats for the last since 2020. He had consecutive 100 plus yards receptions, except for in 2024 when he was with the Texans, where he had 47 and he was injured. He had his biggest year was 2022, where he had 108 receptions and 11 touchdowns, 1,429 yards, averaging 13 yards per catch. Really blowout. And he averaged in 2019 17 yards per catch. Less receptions, but more average yards and less touchdowns. Of course, he was drafted in 2015 by the Minnesota Vikings, was with that team all the way up to 2019, then over to Buffalo for a consecutive amount of years, another 4 years there, 4 years, yep. Then went to the Texans, and now he's back in the Northeast.
There's no debating his talent. He's a great player, right?
He is.
I will push back against this, right? Like, Drake May is not Josh Allen. So let's not be like, his best season was with Josh Allen. He can get back to that.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Just go out there, do what you can do coming off this ACL injury. And I think that, like, as far as the arrows go, the arrow is pointing up for the New England Patriots. Like, it's a good thing for them.
I think the relationship, quarterback receiver relationship between both Drake May and Stephon Diggs will be a good one, because it's not many other people there, first of all. And I think the biggest complaints for him is getting the ball. And I think that him playing in the slot, he'll probably play in the slot this juncture of his career. He'll get a crap ton of balls thrown his way, and he has a knack for getting open in that slot. So he should be good for them.
And he's the veteran, and the quarterback's the rookie, basically. That's how that's going to work. You're throwing me the ball.
Look how Drake May utilized Hunter Henry last year. Now you realize he's got a guy like Stephon Diggs. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. And with that, guys, we got to hurry and hop on off of here so that our next show can be up at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keith Engel has a show this evening.
Really?
Popping off. Do you, Keith? No?
Yeah, I do.
And then, of course, Prim and Proper Sports later on this afternoon. We thank you everyone for your likes, views, love, subscriptions, follows, and all that good stuff. Stay tuned on Roku and on the YouTube affiliates for all your shows here. And good night.
Go Dallas Cowboys.
Go Panthers.
You're watching National Streaming Sports, over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.